Hi there, you are welcome to Perspectives, the show that is designed to take you that one step closer to a better life. And my name remains Emmanuel Utomi. Thank you for joining me. You know what? In season 7 of the popular HBO series Game of Thrones, there was a scene where negotiations were going on. Now, I'm going to create a context for those who probably have not watched Game of Thrones, right? So at this point in time in this series, the army of the dead had started this march on the living. Now, it therefore means that people were going to die unless they joined forces. So as a result of this, 3 or 4 warring factions decided to hold a negotiation in order to join forces to defeat the army of the dead. So what you had was Queen Cersei, Daenerys Targaryen, and Jon Snow came together, all right, to form a common front. But what happened during this negotiation was that already you had Daenerys and Jon Snow in agreement. So all they needed to do was convince Cersei Lannister to join forces with them. I mean, they were going to set aside their differences, form a common front, and fight against the army of the dead. Now, the negotiations had gone really well. Cersei, at this point, had agreed to join forces with Jon Snow and Daenerys, but on one condition. She makes a specific request of Jon Snow. Now, when she makes this request, Daenerys turns to her and says, "You make this request just of Jon Snow, not of me." And Cersei looks at Daenerys and says, "I only make this request of Jon Snow. I would not make it of you. For even if you accept, I would trust you even less." So she turns to Jon Snow and says, "I only ask this request of the son of Ned Stark because I know the son of Ned Stark will be true to his words." Now, the funny thing is, agreeing to these terms would not just seal the negotiation, but it would also mean that maybe fewer people die. But you know what? Jon Snow refuses this request. And as a result, the whole negotiation falls apart. And it is at this point that Tyrion, Cersei's brother, turns to Jon Snow and says, "But have you ever considered learning to lie, even if it's just for a little?" And at this point, Jon Snow says to him, "Look, I am not going to swear to something I cannot uphold." He says this: "When enough people make false promises, words stop meaning anything. Then there are no more answers, only better and better lies." You know, one of the finest revealers of a person's true character is what I call fire, the test of fire. And this is simply what a person chooses to do when they are under pressure or boxed into a corner and are forced to make a decision. If you're looking for one reliable way of testing a person's true character, watch what they do, how they respond when they are under pressure. You know, leadership expert John Maxwell says a character is a choice. He says it places a lid on the level of achievement you can afford sometimes. Now, why? Because since you will be true to your character, there are certain things that might make sense to everyone, but for you it will not make sense. Why? Because it is not true to who you really are, true to your character. I remember a very long time ago, I was still in secondary school, and I had the good fortune of having to stay with my grandparents, my grandmom, over in the village in Delta State in Nigeria. And we had this large compound where the houses were built in a circle, and you had about 2 different exits, but you had this round compound in the middle where everybody will gather together at night and will share tales. And on this particular day, I was the only one at home, and we would rear goats and chickens. And this particular day, there was this piece of peels of yam that was put out to dry, and this particular goat would come into the compound and just start chewing on these peels. And every now and then I'll go out, stop what I'm doing, I will just chase the goat out. And after all said and done, the goat comes back. And this went on and on and on. And after some time, I really got upset. And you know what I did? I watched the goat out of the corner of my eye. And when it came into the compound, what I did was to shut the 2 exit doors, and I got a cane. And I kept chasing this goat and beating it. And I'm sorry, this might sound like animal brutality, but forgive me. I would beat the goat and it would run. But at some point, the goat stopped running, turned around, and faced me. And regardless of the false moves I made to try and scare it, the goat just stood there and was staring me right in the face. And at that point, I said to myself, Emmanuel, it is time to apply wisdom. Because the look on that goat's eye said to me, look, Emmanuel, you are about to meet the inner beast, the true nature of this goat. Before I knew it, I'd gone and opened the door and the goat left. This is how we humans are most times. That when we are under pressure, when we are faced with a situation where we have to make a promise or make a decision, then our true character shows forth. So my question to you is this: what would come out of you when you are squeezed, when you go through fire? What kind of a person would show up? Because you know what? It is that person that is the true character. That is the true you. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, or if you find it useful, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.